welcome everybody to Sunday's action here in Kramolin for the opening round of the 2025 European Quadcross Championship. My name's Bradley Hicks and we are looking at highlights from yesterday's qualifying race there. Whole shot for number 741, the 18-year-old Estonian Karl Robin Rillo. However, that would turn out to be short-lived, unfortunately, for the young teenager. Harry Walker right there with them in the mix, as was Mike van Grinsven. There we can see the bright pink crash helmet of Julian Veldman making his way through the order. But as we mentioned then, number 741, Karl Robin Rillo, the early race leader, the very early race leader. And unfortunately, the 777 machine of Ike Delano, a retirement around about halfway through the course of that qualifying race. A great shame for the Dutchman. But there's Patrick Turini, of course, former champion, and looking about making amends after last year's performances and mechanical reliability didn't quite go his way. But Harry Walker led the qualifying race for just a little bit there in the early half, but throughout the closing stages there, Patrick Turini, once he got in front, he was the man to beat for sure. As we mentioned, Harry Walker coming into this season as the defending champion, number one with the red plate for Harry Walker, but Patrick Turini, the quickest in terms of speed and lap times in yesterday's qualifying race there. So we'll be looking at taking the first gate pick later on today. Karl Robin Rillo, there he is in your picture. As we look at the highlights from yesterday's qualifying race then, he was in around about 6th place after stalling it on the opening lap, but he managed to get going. He was in 6th position when he restarted, found his way back up into 4th place, but couldn't quite make up ground on the number 11 of Mike van Grinsven. Coming towards the line then, the number 15 machine of Patrick Turini will be there in just a second, but such precision and speed and carrying that momentum all throughout the course of this qualifying race then was Turini. Has had a solid winter season training, of course, and is looking to hit the ground running this year, and they certainly set about carrying on with his winning ways, taking victory in the qualifying race there. We can see he was absolutely delighted with that one there. Reigning champion Harry Walker in 2nd position with the number 11 of Mike van Grinsven rounding out the podium. Tension is starting to mount here in the Czech Republic. We're in the Nepomuk region for the opening round, and we have quite a strong starting gate, to say the very least there. We've got 14 nationalities all on the entry list, including Slovakian, Lithuania, Estonia, France, Poland, Denmark, Latvia, Croatia, Norway, Czech Republic, of course. A strong showing from the local riders this weekend, and we can't wait for it. But this is all action from yesterday's qualifying race there, and as we can see, Patrick Turini, that must feel like a weight off of his shoulders. And that brings us to today's action there. We can see that the weather conditions from yesterday to today is a little bit cooler out there, it has to be said. The sun is warm when it comes out, but when it's behind the cloud, it is very chilly. Turini, Walker, van Grinsven, Karl Robin Rillo, Manfred Zienicke, Christoph Karai, and then Carlis Naja, Veldman, Kasper, and Kasper Mischkowski rounding out your top 10 in yesterday's qualifying session. Marcus Thompson, the Dane, ahead of Mike Verboven, Rasmus Sona, Jordi Nicholas Gila, Lorinas Mikalauskas, Mikael Kudal, Oliver Sansom, Mark McClernand. A tough qualifying race yesterday. Paul Meyer and Ayrton Knowles. Sem End, Jan Kasper, Vaclav Krenek, Yuri Brel, Jakub Bekvar, and Tadeusz Rejdik. All Czech Republic there, including Lucas Tichy, the 888 machine, in 28th position, ahead of Ike Delano and Katsulo Leonardo, who unfortunately retired from yesterday's racing. Antonio Sheb and Tomislav Koren, 31 and 32 in the qualifying session from yesterday. But here is Patrick Turini, the number 15 machine. I had a chance to have a word with him earlier on today, and he said that he's feeling very strong coming into this weekend, and that was certainly reinforced by yesterday's performance in the qualifying session. 2023 European champion. Harry Walker, 2024 European champion and twice a British Quadcross champion as well. Of course, his home round is in 2 weeks' time at Fox Hills. Number 11, Mike van Grinsven. There is Karl Robin Rillo, a final handshake there with his team. as he gets ready for this race. 69 machine of Carlos Niger, and the 169 as well of Krzysztof Karaj, so the Hungarian, as Manfred Zienicke is there ready, waiting and poised for this one. As we mentioned, Manfred top 5 yesterday. Had a chance to have a quick word with him earlier on within the paddock as well. And I think the general consensus from all of these guys is that the top 5 or top 6 positions are going to be very, very hotly contested as they make their way out onto the starting gate then. So first pick will go to Patrick Turini. Harry Walker will undoubtedly line up on the right-hand side, and I think it's going to be pretty uniform in formation as they make their way out of the holding area and onto the gate. It seems as though the right-hand side of the gate is the prime choice. There's the 222 of Rasmus Sona making his way out ahead of the 526 of Jordi Nicolas Gila. Lorinas Mikalauskas and Mikhail Kerdal up next. The number 3 of Oliver Sansom. There is 18th place finisher from yesterday, 919, Mark McLernan on his Yamaha. 13, Paul Mayer, the German, up next. Against 23 Yamahas entered into this weekend there. 3 Hondas, 4 Husqvarnas and the lone KTM as well. As we have a good look at the German of number 13, Paul Meyer. But there we can see them on the gate then, lining up from left to right. I believe that's Patrick Turini on the far left as you look at it on your picture. That will be the far right-hand side of the gate as you line up then for Patrick Turini. Now we can see that the sun's starting to make a little bit of an appearance here over southwest Czech Republic. 44, Yuri Brel, and the 115 of Jakub Bekvar. As we mentioned then, 7 riders, all from the Czech Republic, making the trip here to the Nepomuk region here in Kramolin, ready to contest 2 races that we will have today. So of course the first one expected to get underway around about 11:30 local time. Race number 2 will be at 2:15 in the afternoon local time, as well as we have a look at Leonardo Cazzulo and the 888 of Lukas Tichy. 57, Antonio Sheb will be the final rider to take to the gate. There we can see they have a good crowd here as well. We can see them just onto the left-hand side there, the right-hand side now of your screen, as the 44 of Yuri Brel just mounts his machine ready for this one. Mark McLernan got some work to do from that second row. There is Patrick Turini and his, I'm sure, main championship rival this year, Harry Walker. In the qualifying race then, there was a big distance between Harry Walker in second and Mike van Grinsven, number 11, in third position there. There he is to the left-hand side of your screen. Carl Robin Rillo, Manfred Zienicke, and up next is the number 69, the 169, sorry, of Krzysztof Karaj. So we do have the green flag. We're eagerly waiting now for the 15-second board to be thrown up into the air as all these riders just do their final stretches. They're really getting into the zone now. But the top 5, we are expecting, as we said, the majority of the riders within the paddock then, expecting that the top 5 will be very hotly contested. But the green flag is up then. Dave Edwards moves to the right-hand side. 15-second board goes up. All of these guys then, weight will be over the front of their machines. Clutches in, click it into gear. The revs will rise very, very shortly indeed. And then it'll be the first race start of the season then. 5-second board is up, so the countdown is on. All eyes down to the gate. We watch and we wait, and they're away. The 2025 racing season is now underway. And looking to the left-hand side of the screen there, looks like, was that Carl Robin Rillo? Difficult to tell as Patrick Turini slots into second position there, but quickly drops down to third. Watching them out around that big bank in there, lots of lines to choose from. Harry Walker, a little way down the pack there in approximately 6th or 7th position. He's going to the outside there. Julian Veldman is to his inside, but it was Carl Robin Rillo who took the whole shot then. He defends, goes to the inside on Patrick Turini. Next up is Mike van Grinsven, but not the best of starts for the reigning champion of Harry Walker. A little bit of work to do then over the following 25 minutes and 2 laps as we watch him down towards the lowest point of the circuit now. Big speed, big jumps here in Kramolin. Mark McLernan showing us up into 15th position now from his gate pick of 18th. We're watching and we're waiting now. Kashmir, Karenik and Yuri Brel is up there into 20th position there, but as we pan to the left-hand side, we'll pick them up very shortly indeed, I'm sure. But in the meantime there, Carl Robin Rillo was the man who led them away. The 18-year-old former Estonian and Finnish champion there plans to do the full season, which we cannot wait for. There we can see this hard-packed surface there with the riders now making their way towards the right-hand side of your picture. The Estonian flags waving in support of Carl Robin Rillo. Out of sight momentarily. There is Julian Veldman then just onto the outside, using the berm to carry the speed over that tabletop to the right-hand side. But we're waiting for him to burst into view, and here they are. That looks to me it could well be Patrick Torini leading the way. Mike van Grinsven challenging for second position. Harry Walker in fifth place, ahead of the number 69 and the 155. That's Carlis Niger and the 155 of Marcus Thompson, who had the 11th gate pick, did the Danish rider. But in the warm-up session earlier on this morning, Marcus Thompson was the quickest on his Yamaha. So could well be a dark horse to contend with throughout the course of this race. But through goes Harry Walker then. Carlis Niger, the Latvian, up next as we watch and we wait for our race leaders to burst back into our view. Through goes Mike van Grinsven on his number 11 machine. There is Manfred just behind Carl Robin Rillo. Harry Walker, that big number 1, emblazoned on the rear of his jersey. Very easy to spot there, the black jersey and the red crash helmet for Harry Walker as they drop down to the lowest point of the circuit once more. So yesterday, all of these guys were looking at being in around about the 1 minute 41 bracket. In the free practice, we're down to the 39s with Carl Robin Rillo. So we've had the warm-up session earlier on today as we watch Manfred Zeinecke and Harry Walker in 5th and 6th position. But the warm-up session earlier on today, Manfred did not make it out into the warm-up session there as he sets about chasing after Carl Robin Rillo. Over this big triple then, Harry Walker, plenty of air from his Yamaha. Carlis Niger, Marcus Thompson, Julian Veldman and Mark McClernand. I'm sure that was the 919 of Mark McClernand up next. He's up into 9th position at the end of that first lap, ahead of the 169 of Christoph Karai. Yuri Kasper Miskowski in 12th position, but all eyes towards the front then, and we will be seeing some quicker times come in as Patrick Torini sets about extending his advantage at the front of this race at the end of lap number 2. So last time was just over 1 second. Already coming across the line now, the timing line that is, Mike van Grinsven in 2nd position. Then it's Harry Walker now ahead of Zeinecke. There it is in your picture. Harry Walker has made the move on Manfred Zeinecke. Carl Robin Rillo takes a look across to his right-hand side. Mark van Grinsven slides it up the inside there. Carl Robin Rillo with the cutback. It's the Estonian against the Dutchman, the Yamaha and the Honda flying down towards the bottom of the circuit. Harry Walker with a little bit of clear track in front of him. He's managed to depose Manfred Zeinecke from that 4th place position at this stage, but he would not want to see Patrick Torini with a 2.5 second advantage. Well, I'm sorry to say it, Harry, that's exactly what he has over Mike van Grinsven and Carl Robin Rillo as they went across the timing line previous time around. Mark McClernand trying to find a way through on the tall Dutchman of number 2, Julian Veldman. That is 8th and 9th position. There we can see on the bottom of your screen with Yuri Kasper rounding out the top 10. Christoph Karai, Kasper Miskowski and Lorinas Mikalauskas up next in 13th position on bike number 545. As we mentioned just before they got underway, the majority of the power coming from Yamaha. Then it's Honda, 3 machines entered, all with Honda power, 4 Husqvarnas, 1 KTM, and a few others in the mix there as well. But Patrick Torini over the big tabletop throws that Yamaha sideways. Carl Robin Rillo, there is Mike van Grinsven in 3rd position, and I think the pre-race expectations of it all being very bunched up within the first 5 positions has almost come to fruition. But Patrick Torini already across the timing line as Carl Robin Rillo, the 18-year-old, sets about chase now on the former Italian Quadcross champion and former European Quadcross champion, number 15, Patrick Torini. Walker's closing the gap. We need to keep an eye on that gap between Mike van Grinsven and the number 1 of Harry Walker. Here they come now into that 180-degree right-hander. Very similar lines there. Harry said to me before this race that yesterday's qualifying race, that he was happy to settle for 2nd place. He was trying a few different lines and having a look at where Torini may be stronger, where he may be weaker, and trying to improve. And that's what it's all about. But at this stage, 19 minutes and the 2 laps at the end to go, Mike van Grinsven holds on to that third place position ahead of the number 1 of Harry Walker, the young man from Berkshire in the UK. But Mike van Grinsven, we are at the lowest point of the circuit now there, so after these jumps we will be making our way back up towards the top end of the circuit where the timing line is. But Carl Robin Rillo has put some distance now between himself and Mike van Grinsven. Harry Walker doing everything he can as we hit this big triple once more, 35 metres. When you hit that triple, that is insane distance there that all of these guys are hitting. You need such commitment and such determination to hit that at full speed. There is really no quarter given there. But as we watch Patrick Turini lead the way then over Carl Robin Rillo and Mike van Grinsven, there is Harry Walker through in front now of the 89 of Manfred Zienicke. 6th position, 69, Carlos Nijert. There's Marcus Thompson, the quickest man in the warm-up session earlier on this morning. And then it's Julian Veldman, and I believe that's Mark McClellan in front of him now. So Mark McClellan is now in front of Julian Veldman from what we can see here, and that is for 8th and 9th position. But already coming across the timing line once more, Carl Robin Rillo marginally quicker than Patrick Turini on that lap. In fact, that was the quickest lap we've seen all race from Carl Robin Rillo. As we have a look now of Mark McClellan and Julian Veldman. This is the battle for 7th position, with the Danish rider Marcus Thompson right there in your picture. There's McClellan, there's Veldman, and then next up, that looks to me as though it could well be the 169 of Christoph Karai and the 96 of Yuri Kasper, all in the mix there as well. Oh, it looks like a wheel come off there. Julian Veldman looking around and the wheel bounces off into the trees, but Julian Veldman is not how he wanted to start the season. Number 2, Julian Veldman seemingly out of the race. As we watch to the right-hand side of the picture, the top 4 hit that big tabletop at the bottom of the circuit. But Patrick Turini, it was 2.5 seconds, I believe, 2.9 seconds last time around, as Carl Robin Rillo still chasing after him. The gap hovering around about that 3-second mark for the previous 2 laps. But Carl Robin Rillo, Mike van Grinsven, Harry Walker and Manfred Zienicke is the order as they came across the timing line last time around. So it's Italy ahead of Estonia, ahead of the Netherlands, ahead of the UK, ahead of Germany, and then Latvia, and then Denmark. So 7 nationalities inside the top 7. This is what European quadcross racing is all about. Harry Walker up into 3rd place ahead of Mike van Grinsven. So Harry Walker up into the podium positions. And well, the sooner he did that, the better, because we have 16 minutes and 2 laps remaining in this particular encounter then. The opening race of the 2025 European Quadcross Championship here in Kramolin in the Czech Republic. A 5-round season for these guys. The next round being held in just 2 weeks at Fox Hills near Swindon in the UK. But Harry Walker, he will be delighted to go there as the reigning champion, and I'm sure it'll be the cherry on top of the cake if he can go there with the red plate. But Turini doing everything he can and everything he needs to do. He's opened up his advantage now over the Estonian of Carl Robin Rillo to 3.1 seconds. This lap will be very telling of the pace of Harry Walker and Mike van Grinsven. Manfred Zienicke 1.5 seconds behind van Grinsven at this stage. Watching them round, using the berm, everybody on the same line as they get the power down, carry the momentum and hit that triple once more. There goes Mike van Grinsven in 4th position now. Carl Robin Rillo still holding station there in 2nd place. Despite the whole shot, Patrick Turini really muscled his way through and took the race lead in the very early stages. Watching them now, looks like we've got a good 5-way battle further down the order there as well. And let's just have a look. We unfortunately do have Julian Veldman as a retirement. As we saw, Ike Delano, Mark Sodnik and Tomislav Koren all showing as not making a start there, unfortunately. Leonardo Katzulo, number 172, seemingly retiring out of this race as well. Yuri Kasper doing everything he can to hold on to his position ahead of the 69 of Carlos Nijert. Lorinas Mikalauskas showing as being out of the race there as well, unfortunately, as Mark McClellan just about holds on to his advantage over Marcus Thompson. So Mark McClellan, such an impressive ride so far. He's up into 7th position after qualifying, let's not forget, 18th place in yesterday's 20-minute and 2-lap race, but he's just about gone over the berm there. Marcus Thompson looking to capitalise on that one, takes the inside, and Yuri Kasper right there to pick up any pieces. But Mark McLernan, a very slight mistake, and it costs you that position. It's as easy as that. It's as easily done as just tripping over the berm, and then you lose that position. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders all fighting for that 7th place position. At this stage, Christoph Karai, the Hungarian, number 169, is holding station inside the top 10. He was qualifying 6th yesterday, and there's nothing to separate these 4 guys as they hit that tabletop once more. Over the top they go. Mark McLernan at the front of that quartet, but coming to the inside, is that Yuri Kasper? It looks as though it could well be there. The 96 of the Czech rider of Yuri Kasper through now on Mark McLernan and into that 180-degree right-hander in the right-hand side of your picture. Back to the front, Patrick Torini will be heading to the line any moment now, and then we'll get an updated gap as Harry Walker is closing his distance between him and Carl Robin Rillo. So there it is, 6 seconds. Torini ahead of Rillo by 6 seconds now. Harry Walker, it was 0.8 of a second, but you can see right there in your picture, that is nowhere near 0.8 of a second anymore. As Carl Robin Rillo looks over his right, looks over his left shoulder, trying to see where Harry Walker is, but Harry Walker is all over the back of that Yamaha. The run down towards the bottom end of the circuit now. And will they take that same line? They're using the berm. Yes, they do, as we suspected. But there is Julian Veldman, a retirement, unfortunately, for the tall, likeable Dutchman on the number 2 machine. Harry Walker opts to go for the outside there, uses the berm. Not quite close enough to make a challenge this time around, is he? No, unfortunately not for the Brit. Mike van Grinsven just about in touching distance at this stage, but losing hundredths, if not tenths, as they make their way around the lowest point of this Kramolin circuit. But Harry Walker taking a look over his left shoulder there, and he will see quite a bit of clear track between himself and Mike van Grinsven. Over the tabletop once more and into that right-hander. Patrick Torini leading the way quite dominantly at this stage. Through goes Harry Walker, is up into second place. Harry Walker is up into second place, ahead of the 741 Carl Robin Rillo, and Mike van Grinsven's coming back into this now, as is the 89 of the German Manfred Zienecker. So Manfred Zienecker is right there with them. Harry Walker second, Carl Robin Rillo third, Mike van Grinsven fourth, and Manfred Zienecker in 5th place. This is great racing from all of these guys for the opening round of the championship. As we said, only 5 rounds this year, 10 races in total, so it is all to play for, and no one knows that better than Patrick Torini, who had a few technical gremlins last year, which arguably cost him the championship. But Harry Walker, consistency was the key to unlock his first European Championship, and he's looking to go back-to-back this year, no doubt about it. Van Grinsven goes to the inside of Carl Robin Rillo there, but not quite close enough to make the challenge work this time around. Harry Walker has got plenty of clear track in front of him now. Now, this lap is going to be very telling of Harry Walker's pace. Patrick Torini, 7 seconds up the track now from Harry Walker, and with 10 minutes and 2 laps remaining, it's going to be a tall challenge there for Harry Walker. Carl Robin Rillo and Mike van Grinsven over that big triple once more before hitting the brakes. They're throwing it sideways into the right-hander as we wait now for Patrick Torini to appear on the left-hand side of your screen. So there he is, just through your picture now, over the jump. There's Harry Walker. So that is the gap. That is the visual gap between Patrick Torini and Harry Walker. Mike van Grinsven, the number 11, is now through on Carl Robin Rillo, and Manfred is right there with them on the number 89 machine. So only 2 seconds or so separates Manfred from a potential podium finish in this first race. Head down, speed up as they go through this bold left-hander. Such commitment all the way around this circuit that you need. Blue flags being waved now as Patrick Torini encounters some of the tail enders in this field. But everybody out there such an incredible pace as Patrick Turini. His fastest lap is a 1 minute 40.9, and Harry Walker a 41.4. However, on that previous lap, it was Turini by half a tenth of a second. So Turini and Walker pretty much locked together in terms of lap times, but of course with a 7-second advantage. That is perfect for Patrick Turini at this stage. Harry Walker, Mike van Grinsven, Carl Robin Rillo, 2nd, 3rd and 4th place. Manfred Zienicke up next in 5th. Carlos Nijger, Marcus Thompson, Yuri Kasper is your top 8. With Christoph Karai now in 9th position after relegating Kasper Miskowski, number 117, the Polish rider, down to 10th place. Verboven, Sonner and Brel in 11th, 12th and 13th. Gila, Kudal, Restic and Krenek in 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th. Looks like they're having a good scrap there from the timing screen. Knowles, Sansom and number 13 of Mayer round out the point scoring positions at this stage. However, Sem End on number 391 is not too far away for the minor placings as we have a look at this battle then between Carl Robin Rillo and Manfred Zienicke. 741 leads number 89 at this moment. However, it could all change within the next couple of laps or so as we watch them over the top once more, taken to the timing line, and then we will get the updated gap. So Turini leads the way over Harry Walker. That is 1st and 2nd, no doubt about that one, as we have a yellow flag there. So someone looks as though they've beached themselves there. Can't quite see a number on that one. Could well be the number 71. But the 71 machine is Tadeusz Rejstik, the Czech rider. There is Manfred Zienicke. Looks like we've got a tail ender separating him and Carl Robin Rillo, so moving to the outside of the circuit there. Manfred will make it easy work of that one as they go down these big jumps into the left-hander. 90 degrees then, brings straight onto a tabletop. But Turini leads the way by 8.5 seconds now. He's pulled the pin at Harry Walker at 43.4, 2 seconds away from his fastest of the race so far. And of course, this track's starting to cut out just a little bit there. We can see through that left-hander at the bottom end of the circuit. Knowles, Sansom and Mayer still there in 18th, 19th and 20th. So some points on the board if it was to remain this way. But of course, as we know, anything can happen. Zienicke over the top of that big triple once more. But we need to have a look at the gap between Turini and Walker. Through goes Turini to the left-hand side of your picture. He's through on another tail ender. There is Harry Walker. So it's opened up just a little bit more on this lap, unfortunately, for Harry Walker. However, Patrick Turini, the man from San Remo, having a great ride. This is why he is a former European champion, and this is why he is a multi-time national champion in Italy as well. Further down the order, Nigel Thompson, Kasper and Christoph Karai in 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th. Just going back, it's a great shame there for the number 2 of Julian Veldman. We said just before the season got underway that this will be a good marker to see where he could well place throughout the course of this season, but unfortunately his machine decided to not play ball in this race. Carlos Nijger through on the 115 there, so the blue flags I believe will be waving now as the 71 gets underway as well. That's Tadeusz Rejstik, the 115 of Jakub Bekvar, now a lap down there, but Tadeusz Rejstik dropping 8 positions on that previous lap. Everybody within the top 12 positions, all holding station. In fact, everybody within the top 14 positions remain in the same place as what they were the previous time around. But 8.7 seconds is the gap now between Turini and Walker. Yuri Kasper, number 96, there we can see just going out of picture at the moment. They're a little bit loose on the exit there. I believe that could well have been the 155 of Marcus Thompson, the Danish rider, who, as we mentioned, as this race got underway there, quickest in the warm-up session this morning. Here they come a look across to the left-hand side as they hit this big triple once more. Back being flags waving in delight and support for number 69 of Carlos Nijger, and I'm sure the Leobardis twins in the FIM World Quadcross Championship race, which is due to get underway at around about 1 o'clock local time. Yellow flags waving in the middle of your picture there. But unfortunately, the incident seems to be relating to something out of shot. Looking out at the 1:15. Jakob Beckvar in 23rd position, or credited with 23rd at this stage. Harry Walker, Mike van Grinsven. And Carl Robin Rillo will be up next, but Carl Robin Rillo has his hands full with Manfred Zienicke. Over the tabletop once more to the outside of the circuit, using the berm to carry the speed on the Yamaha and the Honda respectively for Harry Walker and Mike van Grinsven. Speaking to Patrick Torini earlier on this morning, there we can see with a 9-second advantage, he's having a fantastic weekend. Such a nice guy as well is Patrick, and he said in the interview after the qualifying race yesterday that his English isn't the best. However, he hides it really well, and his English is certainly a lot better than my Italian. That is safe to say with no doubts whatsoever. But such a nice guy to talk to in the paddock, very approachable, very friendly, and of course heaps of talent as well, which has taken him to title success in various championships. Harry Walker a little bit loose through that right-hander, but got it all under control now. Mike van Grinsven up next, but this is where we need to look at. Zienicke looks to the inside of Carl Robin Rillo, moves him off of the berm and over into the deep stuff. Rillo, he won't be happy with that, and if there's anyone you don't want to pick a fight with, it's probably an 18-year-old Estonian called Carl Robin Rillo, who takes a look to his right-hand side and reclaims that fourth place position. So 2.5 minutes left, plus the 2 laps. Where has this race gone? It's gone by so quickly. I hope you're all enjoying it at home, because this is absolutely amazing stuff here from all of these guys, and the battle for fourth place is going to go right down to the checkered flag. Here we go then, dropping down the fastest point on the circuit. Big air from Manfred Zienicke. Round they go to the left-hander, and this is going to be absolutely enthralling to see which way this goes for the battle for fourth place. As I mentioned just before the race got underway, that Carl Robin Rillo unfortunately missing a gear from yesterday's race, and that cost him the lead in the qualifying race, but he still managed to get fourth gate pick. However, he wants that fourth position once again. No chance does he want to let the 89 of Manfred Zienicke make his way in front, and he seems to have put a little bit of distance between himself and the German on this lap. Patrick Torini then, when he takes to the timing line this time around, we'll have 3 laps to go. Before the next time, of course, we'll have the 2 laps to go board. So 3 laps to go when we do come back around across the line. And it's 1 minute 43.6 for Patrick Torini on that previous lap. Next up, Harry Walker, 1 minute 42.1. Right there with the Mark van Grinsven, 1 minute 43.1, and then Robin Rillo and Manfred Zienicke in the 44s, the high 44s for those 2 guys in your picture now. But I don't think for 1 second that they are bothered about their lap times. They just want the points, they want the prizes, and they want that fourth place position. As Carl Robin Rillo again takes a look to his right-hand side, covers the line defensively. A great defensive riding here from the 18-year-old Estonian, but Zienicke is right there, and they're almost side by side. In fact, they are side by side as they come down towards the lowest point of the circuit once again. But Zienicke not quite managing to find a way through. Carl Robin Rillo, though, just holds on to the advantage. Moving to the inside there, almost making a challenge, was the 89 German of Manfred Zienicke. But Carl Robin Rillo is riding absolutely superbly, is the Estonian teenager. Over the tabletop into this deeply rutted out left-hander now. Look at the berm on the right-hand side for the guys. The left-hand side as you look at it on your picture. But over the triple once more. This track was watered just before they went out for the warm-up session. As we mentioned, that Manfred Zienicke didn't go out in the warm-up session, as the track looked a little bit boggy, a little bit muddy there for the German. However, he is having a great ride. In 5th position, could well be 4th as he looks to the inside, but Carl Robin Rillo again says, no thank you, Mr. Zenica. I'm holding on to this 4th place, whether you like it or not. So 2 laps to go now showing on the board. As Carl Robin Rillo and Manfred Zenica then make their way across the timing line. And Patrick Torini, 6.7 seconds now over Harry Walker. It's all but done there for Torini. He's put some distance between himself, he's managed the gap, and as obvious as it sounds, he's led the race from the front. Just managing situation as they make their way round the early part of this course. Carl Robin Rillo and Manfred Zenica. This bottom end of the circuit seems to be where Manfred Zenica is a little bit stronger, it would seem, on the face of things, than his rival Carl Robin Rillo. Moving to the inside there, that's an interesting line from Manfred Zenica, opting to go tighter compared to that of Carl Robin Rillo. Again, cuts to the inside, trying to get the power down, throws it a little bit sideways, but still not quite managing to find a way through. However, there are going to be some tail enders coming into play here, and they can either work for you or they can work against you. In previous experience, it seems to be that the first person to encounter the slower rider will make the way through, but they get out of the way absolutely superbly. So full credit there goes to number 84, I believe it could well have been, of Jan Kasper, the local rider, doing it for himself, doing it for the local crowd, as we watch Harry Walker then, the number 1, towards the close of this penultimate lap. There's a great shot there. Mike van Grinsven takes a look to his left side, there's Mark McLernan, but Mike van Grinsven looking to his left as he comes around to lap 1 of the tail enders. But Patrick Torini, what can you say about Patrick Torini? The number 15 here is having an absolutely perfect ride, a perfect opening to his 2025 championship campaign. Didn't quite get the whole shot, managed to move Carl Robin Rillo aside, and has just done the laps very consistently. We said it before, we'll say it again, just monotonous consistency from the former champion, and that is why he is the former champion there. Torini just about half a lap to go now before the checkered flag beckons his arrival, and 8.1 seconds advantage now over Harry Walker. The lap time's not quite as quick as what we saw in yesterday's event. However, lap times do not count for anything. It's all about your finishing position. 25 for a win, 22 for second place, and 20 points for third place. And it looks like it could well be 25 points in the pocket of the 2023 champion in this opening race. So watching them now then over the tabletop, waiting now for Patrick Torini to make his way to the view of ourselves and everybody watching here. There he is, Torini, just 2 more corners to go. Didn't have the best of starts to the season last year, and that really hampered his chances of retaining his title. However, the same cannot be said this time around. Patrick Torini, the checkered flag goes out. He is victorious in the opening race of the 2025 championship. What a great race. That is how you do it. Race 1, win number 1. Perfect for Patrick Torini in this opening event. Harry Walker up next in second position, 7.9 seconds behind the eventual winner of Patrick Torini. And Mike van Grinsven was right there at the end, wasn't he? Only 0.2 of a second, and went much quicker than Harry Walker on that final lap. So if there was one more lap in this, it could well have been a different story. But Carl Robin Rillo gets the better of Manfred Zenica in that final lap, and will hold on to 4th position ahead of Manfred Zenica, who will round out the top 5. Marcus Thompson, the fastest man in the warm-up session earlier on this morning, he completes the race in 6th place ahead of local rider number 96, Jiří Kasper, and Krzysztof Karaj, the Hungarian, ahead of Kasper Miszkowski, the 117 Polish rider, in 8th and 9th place. So waiting now for the rest of the runners and the riders to complete, as Mark McLernan showing us being in 18th position there. Not sure what's happened to Mark McLernan, but he was right up there on the door of the top 10, but he seems to have dropped down outside of the top 15, but still some points on the board in the opening race there, as Verboven rounds out your top 10 ahead of Gila and the Estonian of number 222, Rasmus Sona. Jiri Brel and Mikkel Kudal is 13th and 14th place, the Czech and the Danish rider. And the rest of the minor points and placings there as the checkered flag beckons once more. The number 69 of Carlos Niger, who we believe will be up next. And there he is in 15th position. Great stuff there for Patrick Turini. As we said, he knows that consistency is the key. Likewise, Harry Walker from last year. But 7.9 seconds in this opening race of the 2025 campaign. 1 down, 9 to go, and Patrick Turini at the end of this one, the very early stages of this championship, seemingly has the pace to take the fight to Harry Walker and your third place finisher, Mike van Grinsven. So as we mentioned, the second race will be getting underway at 2:15 local time, but I believe we can go down to Barry and have a word with one of the guys. So Barry, who have you got?
Harry, a good start to the season, but not as good as you'd wanted because you did not get it off the line, did you?
No, I had a terrible start. I really had to work for that, but no, I dug deep and got back up to second. It was a good battle with the other riders, but terrible start, so I know what I need to do in the next one, get a good start and get out some early laps quick time.
You definitely have the speed, there's no question about that, but you gave yourself too much to do.
Yeah, I gave myself too much to work, like you say, but I know I've got the speed, I know what I'm capable of, so if I can get out of the gate, then we'll see what we can do in race 2.
Great stuff there for the reigning champion, Harry Walker. Not the best of starts, as we saw. He was in around about 7th place when we picked them up, whereas Carl Robin Rillo took the whole shot, but still, thumbs up. He knows what to do, and he will get that corrected, I am sure, for the next race later on this afternoon. 2:15 local time, as we mentioned there. And we will see the likes of Turini, Walker, Van Grinsven, Rillo, and Zenica all carrying on their frantic battles, as we can go down there now to the race winner, number 15, Patrick Turini.
Patrick, well done. A good victory, something like 9 seconds lead. A good start to your campaign.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Yeah, good start. I start second. In first lap, I passed Rito, and I take the lead. And I managed my gap, and let's go to win.
Did your pit crew tell you Harry Walker was coming? Did you have the information?
Yeah, of course I have information. You say me, Harry say 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds. Okay, it's good.
You'll be happy then going into race 2 and a nice way to start the season.
Yeah, it's good start season.
Thank you.
Great stuff there from Patrick Turini. So he's getting the signals, the pit signals there from his team to let him know that everything was all cool. Stay calm as he makes his way through into the victory position then at the end of race number 1, as the track starts to get graded once more, as we can go down back to Barry, who I believe has number 11, Mike van Grinsven.
Mike van Grinsven, brilliant race. You were there from the word go. You had a good start, and that was everything, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was really good. I was in third, I believe, and we had some nice battles after it with Harry and Drillo. I like this kind of racing. It's fair racing, so yeah, I really enjoyed it.
How hard was Rillo to pass? Because he was quick out of the gate and he ran fast.
Yeah, he's a hard defender also, so it's hard to pass, but we tried to keep it clean, and that's racing, so it's part of the game, but yeah, I really like this fight.
You're happy then?
Yeah, of course, third place, and I can say I'm back after a long time, so really happy with this.
Well done.
Thank you.
Smiles all round within our top 3, as Turini takes the 25 points ahead of Harry Walker and Mike van Grinsven. So look at that, all Yamahas besides the Honda of Mike van Grinsven, Carl Robin Rillo and Manfred Zenica. We mentioned that Carl Robin Rillo was having such a good defensive ride there ahead of Zenica, and it paid off with those 18 points. Marcus Thompson, Yuri Kasper, Christoph Karai, Miskovsky and Mike Verboven inside the top 10 in the European Championship at the end of race number 1. Jordi Nicholas Gieler, Rasmus Sona, Yuri Brell, Mikhail Kodal, Carlos Niger, Paul Mayer, Václav Krenek, Mark McLernon, 18th place, who won't be too impressed with that, I don't believe, Sem End, and number 84, Jan Kasper. That is how the European Championship standings look at the end of the first race. Tadeusz Rejstik, Bekvar, Tichy, all Czech riders, all doing it for the home crowd. Unfortunately, non-scorers, as is Antonio Sheb, Oliver Sansom, Ayrton Knowles, Julian Veldman, a retirement there, as the wheel decided to not be a part of the bike anymore. Lorianas Mikalauskas, Leonardo Catzulo will round out the field. So we hope you all enjoyed your time for this first race of the 2025 European Quadcross Championship. Torini, Walker and Van Grinsven, and that could well paint the picture for the remainder of the season. But of course, all of those questions will be answered if you follow the live stream on fim-moto.tv, and we'll keep up to date with all of the social media posts throughout the course of the weekend and the year.